Well, hello there, all you absolutely magnificent people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, the channel where we get to talk about nature while playing games. And we are back in Empires of the Undergrowth, as you can see here with our little Formicarium. And that means it is time for the second Leafcutter mission. And, well, the Leafcutter Ants are even weirder than I explained in the previous episode, so we're going to delve into how strange they really can be, both them and the relationship they have with other ants. So let's jump right into Frontline, which, as you can see there, again playing on medium difficulty, just because I do not want to die too many times. And as always, we're going to go with Stun, because, well, I think this is just the stunning one between the two of them.
This small leafcutter colony has established a foothold in a clearing near the base of a tree. Their location provides prime access to lucrative harvesting grounds which have gone unchallenged for the past few weeks. However, unbeknownst to the ants, the peace is about to be broken. A scourge is drawing in. It will be here by morning.
Alright, so we are starting out and we've thankfully got a few workers, and just as I headed off into the forest to go collect some leaves, I realized I wanted to actually come and clear this first.
Heterophrynus Battersea whip spider hiding beneath the leaf litter. This unnerving arachnid feels its way through the undergrowth with modified antenna-like forelegs. When it finds a target, it snatches forward with enormous pedipalps, impaling its victim on deadly spines.
Alright, so there we go. We've got a few leaf chambers over there, and that means we can actually go out and collect some leaves, thankfully, or finally. So, of course, as always, our leafcutter ants are just climbing onto these little seedlings and these little saplings that they can find, and then they are tearing apart the leaves and bringing the nice fleshy bits down to the nest. And thank you so much for your comment, Johan Dark, in the previous episode, with the media actually being the best of the harvesters. You would expect, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I would have expected the mages to actually be able to carry more leaves at a time.
Waste is building up in the fungus gardens. The leafcutters need to dig out a refuse dump.
Yes. Okay, we don't have a refuse dump yet. We're going to go for that now. So yeah, the media will, if you upgrade the media, and let's actually get our ants over here, because we are going to clear this area, I think, as our refuse dump for now, at least. But the media, when you actually upgrade their brood chamber, they become nice and strong. They can carry much more leaves. There we go.
Larvae pose a serious threat to the minim workers. They will need to be exterminated quickly.
Yeah, they have been exterminated, no problem there. We're just going to put this, I think, as the waste chamber. And we are just going to excavate this area as well. While we have our media workers here. Oh, it's another velvet worm. Oh, I absolutely love these little guys. I did not expect to see one in our nest here.
Intruders in the nest.
There were intruders in the nest. There are no longer intruders in the nest, Mr. Narrator. Right, but anyway, the media, they actually will carry more leaves if you have upgraded their brood tiles to level 2 than a major ant would carry, which is, surprising. I really expected the majors to be able to carry more leaves, but that is apparently simply not the case, which is, great to know. We're just going to dig out a bunch of tunnels. Oh yes, we need a refuse chamber over here. A bunch of refuse chambers, actually. We're not going to put it too close to this brood chamber over here, because otherwise it is going to affect them and we can't actually upgrade them nicely. Yeah, these are miners. We are going to just dig out a bit more and put more miner chambers, I think, in here. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of minim workers. They're going to carry the leaves from over here to the brood chambers and then also remove the refuse from here to the refuse dumps. Let's actually dig a little tunnel through here as well. Otherwise, our little minim workers have to go all the way around.
The nest, a legion of nomadic Eceton Berkeley army ants are preparing to march. They set up camp late last night and will now conduct daily swarming raids on the surrounding areas until they see fit to move on. This humble leafcutter stronghold will soon lie directly in their path.
Yeah. So the Eceton ants here in South and Central America, they have the same ecological niche as the driver ants in Africa will have, where they conduct raids, and massive raids at that.
The army ants have arrived. They will sweep eastward, swarming everything they find. Larvae-filled ant colonies are particularly ripe for culling. Only a substantial defensive force with the right tools to repel the aggressors will be left alone. The leafcutters must prove to the invaders that they are more trouble than they are worth.
So this is the thing, you've got a whole bunch of soldiers here, and they of course are protecting this line of army ants, and we've got the minor workers underneath there. They of course will be carrying a whole bunch of stuff, but there we go, there is a rove beetle that is being attacked by the army ants, and having a look at it, yeah, I don't think it's going to survive.
Back beyond Leafcutter territory. They will likely give this area a wide berth until it's time for them to relocate their nest.
Oh, there's a little mantis that was attacking our media, and this is of course why we do have a few media walking around here as well. They are there to protect the minor workers, and they do quite a good job, a relatively good job at that. We are going to actually put in a few more of these media. Yeah, waste has really built up. We do need quite a few more minim workers. We're just going to put down some minor workers over here because they are quite cheap, and we get a minim worker, a free minim worker for each brood tile we put down. So hopefully now they can go and clear the gunk over here. Now, as I've mentioned on screen in comments in the previous episode, what you have in Leafcutter Ant colonies are actually not the normal minim workers going to remove the waste and working in the waste facility over here. You will have a bunch of ants actually bringing some of the gunk over here, some of the refuse to the chamber where it is being processed. But there are special workers working in the refuse tiles here. They are constantly in the bacteria and in the old droppings and the old fungus here.
Extending their foraging activities. Space is running out.
Okay, so we've got army ants that are making their way along here. Before they get to this point over here, we are going to need to have some majors to actually keep us safe. So that is going to be our next objective. But as I was saying, you'll have special workers working in the refuse tiles here, and they're not allowed to go anywhere else. They're not allowed to go into any of the brood chambers. They must stay. They basically stay their entire lives in here. If they try to go out from here, they will be attacked. They will either be killed or forced back by other workers, because they're covered in bacteria and possible diseases and stuff like that. You don't want them scurrying around in the brood chambers, potentially killing off the larvae in the process. So they will be special waste management workers. And they are basically banished to this chamber, never really going out from there. Of course, they will be fed by the other individuals in the colony, but that's it. Usually it is older individuals that also will be working in the refuse tile. They also have much shorter lifespans than normal or the other ants would have. So, not a great job for them, I'm afraid. Okay, we're going to put, I think, 2 more media workers down, and then we are going to go for some major workers. I think what we also do need, we actually need to expand into this area. So we're just going to get all our media workers into this area. There we go. All our media are making their way along here.
The ants have uncovered
another whip spider
hiding beneath the leaf litter. It will need to be dealt with before excavations can continue.
I think, yeah, it has been dealt with. Marvelous. Okay, so now this area is of course open. We can put down our first majors. But before we do that, let us just get a little chamber of a few nest workers, basically. Now, while a little leafcutter ant colony like this one is just starting out, they are of course also susceptible to social parasitism. Remember, we had social parasitism with the slave maker ants in the second wood ant mission. And something similar can happen with this colony, but also a little bit different. So thank you to Victory8928 for drawing me down that very interesting ant hole. Because what happens is there's a group of ants. It looks to be, and it seems to be the megalomyrmex, meaning hell of a massive ants. In essence, megalo like really, really big, and myrmex referring to ant. What those ants will do is when there is a small colony like this queen over here with just a few workers, they may actually insert themselves into this colony. They are social parasites, and they will then, most of them at least, will be feeding on the...
As dusk sets in, the army ant foraging activity begins to settle.
Okay, the army ants are gone.
Forces are reconvening to join a giant bivouac formed of their own bodies, where they will wait out the night.
I did not realize there's a rove beetle here.
This is the perfect opportunity to stockpile leaves.
Okay, so unfortunately there is a rove beetle larva loose in the nest here. Not sure where all our media workers were going, but there we go. sorting them out. Now I think is the time to actually come to this spot over here where there are lots and lots of leaves. Let's quickly come and harvest that. Anyway, those little social parasites, they will be feeding on the fungus that these leafcutter ants are growing. Now, not the Atta genus though. The Atta genus seems to not have those megalomyrmex ants actually coming into their nests. However, other of these leafcutter ants will potentially be parasitized by these social parasites, by these megalomyrmex ants. Now, we as humans, we do like to classify things as one thing or another, thinking, okay, well, that's parasitism. But it may actually be more than just parasitism. It may actually be somewhere between parasitism or social parasitism and mutualism. Because with those extra ants living in the colony here, yes, they are feeding on the fungus that you're growing for your young ones. And they may also be feeding on the brood. They will also be snacking on them as well. But they also can provide you with some protection against things like the army ants. Because now you have got more soldiers in your colony. Your colony technically now, or your nest at least, has more ants in it. Which will allow you to potentially push the army ants back. Which is, of course, our objective. Now, the Atta cephalotes here, they do not have that potentially happening to them. They do not have...
The ants must defend themselves.
Oh, what have we got? It is another... Oh, it's a rove beetle larva and a harvestman. Okay, of course, we talked about the harvestman in the previous episode. Different from spiders because they, even though they are arachnids with 8 legs, they have... Well, it looks like they have one big fused body part, but they actually have 2 body parts. It just looks fused. And then also, they only have 2 eyes instead of the normal, I think, 8 eyes of spiders. So they're not spiders. They are related. They are arachnids after all. But, you know, scorpions and those things are also relatives. They're also arachnids. And then the harvestmen also lack venom altogether. They don't have venom glands at all. This little harvestman here really trying to snack on our Atta cephalotes, our little leafcutter ants. But it will be snacking no more. Okay, we are collecting a whole bunch of leaves here. That's brilliant. You know what? I think we're going to go to this bunch over here as well. And now that we have some resources to spare, we can also, I think, upgrade our media workers. That will allow them to actually now carry heavier leaves than the mages over here will carry. Okay, so the amount of gunk building up, the amount of refuse, that is relatively low now, thankfully. We are going to keep on increasing the amount of mages we are sporting here. Mages really will be very nice to help us defend against all the things in the forest here. Either the predators, like the harvestmen, like the rove beetles, like the bush crickets. And if I can just quickly get that. And thanks to Y Gillian for mentioning there is a little question mark here, and you can actually click on that there, and then click on a species, and it will tell you all kinds of things. So this is the small spiny devil. Well, that's a marvelous name for this little bush cricket. That's awesome. It also gives you whatever happens, you know, if you attack them. So if you attack them, they are nice and spiny. Let's just have a quick look at them. There we go. Yeah, nice little spiny devil after all. Big eyes in front there, but notice all these spines. Of course, that is a defense mechanism. They are trying to reduce the likelihood of anything eating them. Of course, this is going to be no defense against an army ant. This does look like a female. That does look like the ovipositor. Very, very interesting. But yeah, the spines here, of course, if you attack this bush cricket, you are going to also take some damage. But with army ants, there are millions and millions and millions of them coming to you, so you really stand very little chance. They will have to flee if when the army ants appear again. I just realized now we should actually have gone for this bunch of leaves over here, which is right in the trail of the army ants, which is going to go past all these predators and hopefully kill them along the way so that we can harvest the leaves. Hopefully we have a bunch of media appearing. Oh, we've got a bunch of minor workers. Okay. Oh well. There we go. Mages coming as well. Alright, we've got a whole bunch of food. We can actually put down more of these mages. We need to defend ourselves against the army ants.
The jungle stirs.
Oh.
The sound of panicked arthropods running from danger can be heard throughout the leaf litter, and the ant birds are circling overhead. The swarm has returned.
Now the thing is, the army ants are going to come from here. We're going to try and push them back because they are already extending all the way over here. They found food here previously, or they were able to expand into this area. And now they want to come and see whether there's anything more to the east over here. We don't want them finding our nest, so we are just going to get ready. Here they come. We're going to face off against them. There we go. There are the army ants. We want to push this bunch back past that line so they are no longer in this area of the map. We've got our mages coming in. We are just here to attack first, and then once we have pushed them back, we will collect the leaves that are up here. But there is a little miner worker over there. We are just... yeah, that thing's shape is annihilated. Actually, I really think we are fighting under this big leaf over here. We're just going to kill any army ant we encounter.
The party has spotted the leaf cutters. They must not be allowed to report back to the swarm.
Not sure where that scouting party is. Probably under this leaf. Very, very difficult for us to see what's happening there. However, there are also jumping spiders. More jumping spiders.
The army ants are finding the Atta colony difficult to deal with. Less troublesome prey can be found elsewhere.
Okay, now we're just going to come in here and actually collect the leaves. Now that we have pushed back the army ants, this area is now safe to actually harvest leaves from. Oh, I love the dramatic music that we've got in the background there. It's like... da, 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 da. Oh, that jumping spider is surrounded and it is dead. Shame. We are the menace now. Alright, let's upgrade some more of our media workers so that they can actually carry more leaves. Right, we actually do need to also upgrade...
The army ants are extending their foraging activities.
Oh, they're coming back again?
Space is running out.
Really? Okay, fine. We will push them back once more. Oh, there's a jumping spider. I think that jumping spider is dead. But you can see the army ant soldiers there extending their mandibles. They really look very, very menacing as they are extending into this region. Now, as mentioned earlier, they have what we call a bivouac. They don't actually have a permanent nest. Instead, they are more transient. They are nomadic. They don't stay in one area of the forest for too long. They actually just keep on moving on to other areas. But as I was saying, the army ants wouldn't be able to stay in one area for too long. With them being such ferocious predators, they would very easily overexploit all the animals in that area and eventually then starve to death. So in order to not have that happen, they are transient, they are more nomadic, they will stay in an area for a short period of time. Usually when the queen has actually laid eggs, they will stay in that bivouac for a few, I think like 2 weeks or something like that, and then they move on. They are more transient, moving on to the other sections in the forest. And then once they have finished eating the things in that section, they move on again. They're constantly on the move. Okay, the army ants are now gone for the night. They're going back to their bivouac. They're going to just relax there a bit for the evening. We are now just going to harvest as many leaves as we possibly can. You know what? We actually should be harvesting more to this side, more to the west. So let's actually head out to this section over here. Because this is, of course, where the army ants usually are. Now that they're not moving around here, we really can come and harvest the leaves here, no problem. There are still some, like these miner workers, carrying grubs and stuff that they have collected. But there's not a massive column anymore. The last stragglers are making their way there. I think tomorrow we'll push the army ants back completely. So in preparation for that, let's get our brood up, shall we? Now, of course, I'm sure you have noticed this big square in the map there, and that is a massive, massive whip spider right over here. So this is one of the tailless whip scorpions, they're called. They are arachnids, and you can see its thin little antennae. So you notice we had at the start of the map there in the underground area, we had a little whip spider. Well, this one is a massive species, and this weird little antenna in front here is actually its first set of legs that you can see they're extending, and they use this like antennae to touch the ground to find food and avoid obstacles. They also have, let's have a look here. There we go. It's a marvelous species. Oh my word, look at that. Those big pedipalps over there, basically like the pincers of a scorpion. These ones have got nice spikes on it. It is raptorial after all. It is grasping, and it is there to grasp any food that they can possibly get. Again, no venom with them, but they will be grasping and then chewing so that they can just slurp up their juices again. Oh, I absolutely love whip spiders. They're such cool creatures. Oh, there's a big velvet worm right over here. We talked about the velvet worm previously. Of course, this little guy would be shooting slime at the rove beetle over there and at the harvestman in the area as well. They wouldn't really just be chilling over here. We are going to upgrade some of our soldiers over here as well, just so that they become nice and strong for the battle ahead. When you are building your refuse dumps like I have here, notice that if you do put it too close to some of your brood tiles, it will have a negative impact on that. That's because the refuse dumps are usually located away from the brood chambers in the leafcutter ants, either a completely separate chamber or just dumped outside of the colony altogether. And there's a risk of disease spreading between the refuse tiles and your brood tiles over here. So we don't want to actually have it too close.
The harvesting grounds is about to be cut short. The swarm has mobilized.
All right, let's get back. Let's get our army mobilized here and just chilling over here, getting ready for the army ants. They are going to be pushing through here and then over here as well, but we are going to be waiting for them at the main spot, at the main column. If we can push them back from here, that would be absolutely marvelous. Second thought, I think let's actually get them from this section. In this section, let's intercept them here, and then we'll move further west and start intercepting them over there as well. Here they come, here they come. Okay, so this is the column we are going to attack first. Our major is already getting into the thick of things.
Fight.
And he is already dead in the thick of things. Okay, we need the numbers. We need safety in numbers here. Come on, guys, let's push back the army ants. We can do this. Yes, we can. Okay, they've been pushed back from this section. There we go, retreating. They figured, okay, well, it's too much of a hassle.
Causing problems for the army ants, and the swarm frontier is beginning to recede.
Okay, now, let's head to the main column. Because they've been relatively impervious to attacks from us, but now we have the numbers, I think. We really should have the numbers, at least. Okay, there's a small section, a small contingent of our army, and then the rest is still coming up from behind. Okay, let's take them on, shall we? Relatively easy. I mean, we are on medium difficulty, but nonetheless, we are relatively easily pushing them back. The thing is, the army ants have to weigh up the worth of... is it worth going after all these ants that are attacking us? They're losing a lot of individuals. Yes, they can very quickly replenish their numbers, but it's still resources being used to, hatch a brood and raise the brood, ultimately for them to get killed. So they don't want to keep on doing this over and over and over again if they're just going to die. So we are just attacking them, pushing them back, driving them back properly. And Atta cephalotes here is one of the few species that actually are able to resist the army ant invasion into an area. Most species will try to either evacuate completely, hide away from the army ants, or they block off their nest entrances to prevent the army ants from gaining access into the nest.
The leafcutters have been spotted by a scout. If it escapes, it will call for reinforcements.
It's not there. I think it's somewhere around here. I think that was the scout over there. I think that scout is probably going to be dead now. Yeah, it is going to be dead.
The
there we go.
soldiers managed to prevent the enemy scout from returning to the swarm.
And we have pushed back these ones completely.
Against impossible odds, the soldiers of the Atta stronghold met the tyrannical intruders with ferocious defiance time and time again. Unable to break their lines and after tremendous losses, the army ant swarm has finally elected to move on.
Yeah.
For the leafcutters, the ultimate trial is over.
For now. Of course, these army ants will most likely come back later. They're not here now, but they will most likely come back again. They are nomadic after all, and every patch of the forest will eventually have army ants coming through there. But as mentioned, and we're just going to go for royal jelly over here as well, but as mentioned, they fulfill a very similar niche to the driver ants in Africa, which will also go out from the central areas, although the driver ants do have a more permanent nest. They're not as nomadic as the army ants are in the South and Central American regions, but they all go out from their nest to catch as much food as they possibly can. Alright, let's head back in, shall we? As you can see, our nest has also expanded. We do have a bunch of majors, leafcutter ant majors over here. Quite a lot of food tiles that are generally empty, but we'll have a bunch of food coming in now. And then we do have our ranged wood ants over here and our Malay Formica fuscas over here as well. And then a few Ereptor workers just kind of chilling around in the nest here. Alright, now I don't think I'll be doing the Formicarium challenge now. Instead, we'll most likely be starting our next episode with that. I am going to just continue expanding the nest a little bit more, and I need more food for that. So off screen, I'm going to be playing a bit more and gathering a lot of food, as much food as we possibly can. But I think with that, it is probably where we're also going to end today's episode, everybody. So thank you very much for joining us on our little adventure. If you've got any questions, please do feel free to pop it down in the comments below. I'll happily answer as best I can. And if there's anything you would like to see me do, also pop it down in the comments below. I definitely plan to still do the challenge mode. You can this is also challenge mode that I can put on, and I definitely plan to still do all of those ones as well. So eventually we're going to do a quick little playthrough again, but with challenge mode on, to talk about the different creatures that pop up with challenge mode being on. So next time we are going to do possibly the final experiment, then rehouse the colony, and then move on to the fire ants, which are quite awesome indeed. So we're approaching, not quite the end, but we are getting there. And of course on Sunday I will be doing a live stream as well, 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock most likely in South African time, where we're going to be playing again as the termites. The termites are out for revenge after our horrible defeat last time. So feel free to join me for that as well. And until next time everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Bye!